Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Ana Jurado, trabajo con la asociación GINSO, aquí veo un error en la nomenclatura, y formo parte del consorcio de No Panis, que hemos colaborado estas 4 entidades, Save the Children de Rumania, Ayuntamiento de Roterdam, Universidad de Burgos, lo ha coordinado todo el proyecto la Universidad de Valencia por Bienestar y, perdón, que el nombre me cuesta memorizarlo, una entidad de Estonia, ¿vale? Entonces, bueno, el objetivo de nuestro proyecto, que creo que a lo largo de toda la mañana se ha explicado muy bien cómo está el contexto respecto al castigo físico en la infancia, era un poco ver qué se estaba haciendo en estos países respecto a la atención y en los casos de castigo físico. ¿Por qué castigo físico? Porque vemos que es una manifestación de conducta violenta, pero a lo mejor a menor, más tolerada, menos visibilizada y consideramos que también es importante poner foco de atención porque quizás un poco es el inicio de la violencia o del maltrato que pueden sufrir los niños. Entonces, el objetivo que un poco quiero presentarse a grosso modo para que entendáis un poco cómo ha sido el proyecto. En un primer momento lo que hemos hecho ha sido un análisis del contexto de cada uno de los países, haciendo referencia especialmente a la situación legal, cómo se recoge el tema del castigo físico en las diferentes legislaciones europeas. Félix además nos dará una buena introducción también de cómo está el tema a nivel legislativo europeo, aparte de cada uno de los países consorcios que hemos participado. Hacer una investigación también administrativa, que como bien nos decía la directora de Dirección General de la Infancia y Adolescencia, es importante no solo que se legisle, sino además también que se dote de recursos de protección, y eso es importante tener en cuenta qué se está haciendo realmente. Y también hemos visto, el objetivo es ver qué tipo de prácticas y buenas prácticas se han desarrollado o hemos detectado en estos 4 países que hemos participado, ¿vale? En próxima ponencia explicaremos un poquito el resultado de nuestro proyecto y ahora lo que voy a pasar es un poco a darle la palabra a mis compañeros para que os contextualicen un poco la situación en cada uno de los países, ¿vale? Venga, muchas gracias. Pues ahora sí paso la palabra a Félix, ¿vale? Que os dará un poco una visión, sobre todo legal, que tan importante es el contexto legal para que luego se traduzca en medidas. Sí, perdón.
Bien, buenos días a todos. Mi idioma materno es el castellano, como se ve evidentemente, pero he preparado la exposición en inglés, un poco porque ha sido el idioma del trabajo en el proyecto y por exigencias también de los financiadores, que son Unión Europea, etcétera. Así que voy a intervenir en inglés, pidiendo disculpas en primer lugar, precisamente por mi inglés hablado. It's a big pleasure for me to share this roundtable with No Punish project colleagues. I'm going to talk about the legal aspects of corporal punishment of minors. In fact, my speech is based on the legal report elaborated by the University of Burgos research team, composed of Professors Esther Gómez Campelo, Mar Jimeno Bulnes, and me. In this context, it will be examined the legal definition of corporal punishment. Next is treatment in international and European law. I will look later at some national regulations with special attention to Spanish law. Finally, a sort of concluding remarks shall be exposed. According to an international perspective, the Committee on the Rights of the Child defined corporal punishment as any punishment in which physical force is used and intended to cause some degree of pain or discomfort. This committee says that corporal punishment is always degrading and therefore incompatible with the Convention on the Rights of the Children. Children have the same right to respect for their human dignity and physical integrity as adults and to enjoy equal protection before the law. By contrast, according to a national perspective, the Spanish legal system does not include a legal definition of physical punishment, although it invariably refers to this phenomenon not only legally but also constitutionally. At the constitutional level, the right of all persons to life and physical integrity is recognized in Article 15. With respect to children, Spanish Constitution expressly refers to the protection provided in international agreements. It also obliges parents to provide children every kind of assistance while they are still underage. More precisely, at the legal level, it can be observed that several laws refer to corporal punishment of minors using different terms, such as physical integrity, injuries, physical violence, mistreatment, or the generic term protection of minors. At the international level, protection of children has taken place within the United Nations through some declarations. First of all, in 1948, Universal Declaration of Human Rights says all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Some years after, in 1959, Declaration of the Rights of the Children says the child shall be protected against all forms of neglect, cruelty, and exploitation. Finally, in 1989, Convention on the Rights of the Child says state parties shall take all appropriate legislative, administrative, social, and educational measures to protect the child from all forms of physical or mental violence, injury or abuse, neglect or negligent treatment, maltreatment or exploitation, including sexual abuse, while in the care of parents, legal guardians, or any other person who has the care of the child. 193 countries have ratified this convention. The supervision body, the Committee on the Rights of the Child, interprets this article as a requirement to eliminate all forms of corporal punishment. Physical punishment inflicted on children has also been condemned by other international human rights bodies of the United Nations, including the Committee on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, the Committee Against Torture, and the Human Rights Committee. At the European level, protection of human rights has taken place within the Council of Europe through some declarations. First of all, in 1950, the European Convention on Human Rights doesn't contain a specific provision for children and adolescents. Nevertheless, according to Article 1, countries shall secure to everyone the rights and freedoms defined in this convention. Some years after, the European Social Charter provides the right of children and young persons to social, legal, and economic protection. When member states ratify the European Convention on Human Rights and the European Social Charter, they undertake an obligation to respect the human rights of all persons covered by their jurisdiction, including children. Since 1985, the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe and the Parliamentary Assembly have already proposed the prohibition of physical punishment of minors through some recommendations. The 47 member states of the Council of Europe have a commitment to reform their internal regulations and to take all necessary measures to prohibit and eradicate all corporal punishment imposed on children, even within the context of the family unit, in order to respect human rights and in accordance with international law. In 1979, Sweden became the first country in the world to explicitly prohibit corporal punishment of children. This is reflected in its code of paternity. The child has the right to care, security, and good parenting. He or she shall be treated with respect as an individual and may not be subjected to corporal punishment or any other degrading treatment. Shortly after, Finland abolished corporal punishment, reforming the Juvenile Act and the Family Act. In Norway, the Parents and Children Act was amended in 1981. It was the first country in the world to create an ombudsman for children. In the 90s, Austria reformed the Family Act. Denmark approved an amendment to the Minors Custody and Care Act. Cyprus adopted the Prevention of Domestic Violence Act. Latvia and Croatia passed family laws prohibiting corporal punishment in minors. In 1996, the Supreme Court of Italy forbade the use of violence for educational purposes, although it had not been endorsed by legislation. In 2000, Germany introduced a rule in its civil code stating that minors have the right to development without violence. In France, there is a controversy. According to the Council of Europe, French laws are not sufficiently clear and specific and go against the European Charter of Social Rights. Although it prohibits violence against children, France recognizes the right to correct that parents have. Since Sweden became the first country in the world, 8 countries in Latin America have incorporated explicit punishment against the use of corporal violence by parents and educators in children. Venezuela, Costa Rica, and Uruguay were the pioneers in prohibiting these practices in all areas, both at school and at home. Brazil, Bolivia, Honduras, and Nicaragua included it in recent years in their codes, and Argentina passed a law that came into force in 2016. But according to Nadine Perrol, United Regional Advisor, the most alarming and dramatic situation occurs in the Caribbean, where some countries not only do not prohibit corporal violence, but legitimize it. That is the case of Guyana, Jamaica, or Barbados. Other countries have clear prohibitions to physically punish children in school, but they are not protected in their own home. According to the International Conventions of Childhood, the home is where children have to feel more protected. In addition, Perrault says that many times physical violence is accompanied by verbal and emotional violence, which has a great impact on the child's cognitive development. Until 2007, the Spanish Civil Code allowed parents to moderately and reasonably correct their children. which was interpreted as allowing corporal punishment within those limits. However, the law on international adoption reformed some articles of civil code. This answered the requirements of the Committee on the Rights of the Child, which understood that this moderate right of correction could contravene the Convention on the Rights of the Child. However, Article 154 of Civil Code has received new wording following the recent law on the modification of the system for the protection of children and adolescents. Now, it establishes that parental authority shall be exercised always for the benefit of the children, according to their personality and respecting their physical and psychological integrity. In similar terms to the provision for parental authority, Article 268 of Civil Code establishes that the guardians will exercise their position according to the personality of the wards, respecting their physical and psychological integrity. As a final remark, we can say that there is a broad consensus at European and international level on human rights bodies that corporal punishment of children should be expressed and widely prohibited by law. However, some countries continue to have expressions such as reasonable punishment, discipline, lawful correction, or effective deterrence. So, accepting the United Nations Convention on the Right of the Child does not guarantee the effective abolition of such behavior. The European Charter of Human Rights was created to ensure effective compliance by states. Its judgments have been progressively condemning corporal punishment, first of all in the criminal and school settings, and more currently in the home. It is common practice for the European Charter of Human Rights to apply the standards of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child in its resolutions. Thank you for your attention.
Bueno, a continuación va a participar la compañera Jeany Dirkzwager del Ayuntamiento de Roterdam, de Países Bajos.
Sorry, I can't find my presentation. Ah, here. Yes, found it.
Creo que es acá abajo. Puede ser ahí.
Yeah, I can't find my cursor.
Your fund,
Yes,
yeah,
there it is.
presentation. Ah, yeah.
Thanks. Okay, I'll tell you something about the situation in Holland. First of all, Holland is a very densely populated and very diverse, and we have an increasing number of elderly. As to Rotterdam, we have in Rotterdam approximately 600,000 residents, and 50% of those residents come from an immigrant background. And 18% of the children in Rotterdam and young people in Rotterdam are growing up in a family where there is a chance of poverty. And as we all know, poverty is a high risk for child abuse. The annual prevalence of child abuse in all its various forms is estimated at 3.4%. And we always say in every classroom, there's one child that's being abused at home. That counts up to almost 119,000 children every year in Holland. And even in Rotterdam, due to high risk factors, the prevalence is estimated at 7%, so twice as much. In 45% of all those cases, there is a combination of 2 or more forms of child abuse, and neglect is the most common one. Ever since 2015, the municipalities are responsible for all aspects of youth care, and this includes prevention, child protection, child rehabilitation, youth care plus, that is to say closed youth care, children's health care, and caring for young children with limited intellectual capacities. The whole range. No. First of all, we have a lot of legislative measures in Holland, and one of the most important one is the Domestic Violence and Child Abuse Mandatory Reporting Code. Every professional working with families and children have to use this code, and it helps professionals in 5 steps to act in a case of signs of child abuse or domestic violence. We also have a Domestic Exclusion Act. That is to say, a perpetrator can be excluded from their homes for a period up to 28 days, and during this time they may not have any contact with their parent or children, and in this period help can be started. Of course, we also have a criminal code and a Conditional Sanctions Act. I'll tell you something about the chain of child protection. First of all, the integral approach is the most important theme in the Dutch legislation and policy. All professionals involved in the chain of child protection, they do have to cooperate in order to fulfill the basic principle of one family, one plan, and one director. So this also includes schools or general practitioners. And what is the chain of child protection? First of all, neighborhood network, and that means schools, sports, religion, communities. The social work team for families who need help and support in all sorts of social, financial, housing issues. We have the Advice and Reporting Center of Domestic Violence and Child Abuse. We have the Child Protection Board and Youth Protection Forum. That's multiple disciplines that discuss and decide the best approach to be taken in child safety issues. And of course the Juvenile Code, if a protection measure is needed. The certified agencies, they take care of implementation of the child protection measures. And of course the municipalities, I also explained, they are responsible for the coordination and availability of help and assistance. And not to forget, of course, the police and the prosecution. Also part of the chain of child protection is what we call the reference index. It's a digital system. It helps to bring professionals together. Professionals can make a report in the VIR regarding any child if they have worries about the safety of a child. And when more than one professional reports in the VIR will contact them and they can discuss and or agree on any follow-up actions needed. And let's not forget the forensic physicians. They can diagnose injuries in children. I'll tell you something about what we think are the strengths and weaknesses of our system, and let's begin with the strengths. It's very high on the agenda, both by government and by the social organizations. The local steering by municipalities is also a strength, because municipalities know more about the local situations and the local problems. They know more about what is needed in their area than the government does. We have children ombudsman, and they represent the interests of children. Rotterdam has her own ombudsman. The law in the Netherlands has many relevant protocols and procedures. The high-risk factors are very well defined, so we know when a child is at risk. And we have an integral advice and reporting center for domestic violence and child abuse, and also, for example, abuse of elderly. But unfortunately, we also detect some weaknesses in the system. We have many migrant flows. So in Rotterdam, it's hard to address child abuse in an unequivocal manner. We have a database of effective interventions, but unfortunately, few support programs have proven to be effective so far. The financing of various types of help is quite complicated. We are dealing with various laws that cover an element of the support. Regardless of good intentions, we are still not managing to gain comprehensive data on child abuse, and there's a feeling that the available figures are just the tip of the iceberg. Questions are later, I think. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Bien, pues a continuación desde Rumanía nos va a contar un poquito cómo es la situación la compañera Claudia Daniela, psicóloga en la Dirección General de Servicios Sociales y Protección de la Infancia de la región de Dolj.
Have I broken the system?
Yes.
No.
Claudia? Yes. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Hello, I am from Save the Children, Romania. It's a very pleasure for me to be here in Valencia again. I have a short presentation about the national report in Romania and about the national support who protect the children's rights in our country. First, I have to say some words about Romania and about our town, about Craiova. Romania has an administrative organization represented by 41 countries, geographically divided into 4 macro-development regions and 8 regions. Dolj country is a part of the development region Southwest Oltenia with other countries like Gorj, Mehedin, Olt and Vâlcea. The administrative organization of the Southwest Oltenia region is as follows: 40 cities as municipalities, 208 common and 2017 village to urban administrative level. 48% of the population is in the urban area. Craiova city is the residence of the Dolj country and the most important economical and social center of Oltenia region. In Romania, responsible for the protection and promoting the children's rights is National Authority for Children Protection, a center level, who is subordinating to Ministry of Labour, Family and Social Protection. General Directorate of Social Assistance and Child Protection is an institution who functions at each county and is at the local level. Nationally, over 2015, 30,456 cases of violence against children coming to attention of social institutions. We talk about cases of abuse, neglect, exploitation, but the main form of violence against children in Romania is neglected. The most important law in protection of children's rights in Romania is law number 272 from 2004. His name is the Children Law, and the law 215 from 2003, the law who preventing and combating domestic violence, who introduced for the first time the first order protection for the victim of domestic violence. When we talk about the institution who is involved in preventing and combating domestic violence, we talk about the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Regional Development and Public Administration, the Ministry of Education, Probation Service of the Court, Ministry of Labor, Family and Social Protection, National Authority for Children Protection, General Directorate of Social Assistance and Child Protection, and of course many non-governmental organizations, foundations, short public or private partnerships. General Directorate of Social Assistance and Child Protection has the main task to coordinate social assistance and family protection and children's rights in each county. The department with role in protecting children against abuse and violence are Information Center and Public Affairs, who operate a 993 line emergency, who is a line which can report situations of violence against children. Reception Emergency Center for victims of domestic violence, who provides hosting and feeding for a period between 7 and 60 days, and specialized medical care, psychological and legal advice in order to overcome the crisis situation. Counseling Center for abuse, exploited and neglected child, who provides special counseling services to children at risk or to children who is victim, with the purpose to support their emotional and processing the trauma and its consequence. National Authority for Children Protection, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, has conducted several campaigns to prevent violence and promoting good practices. A guide for parents, like You Can Be a Good Parent, under a Father project. Children's rights are law, with the purpose to change the perception and the attitude of the population toward the right of the children and to promote positive parenting. In the educational fields, operate at local level county educational resource and assistant, who develop services like school mediation, violence prevention, and juvenile delinquents, sort of professional like psychologists specialized in education, speech therapists, social mediator, and school counselors. Parent School is a project which aims to develop the best practice for education and to develop parenting skills of the parents involved in this project. In the fields of health, operated the Department of Public Health. The main task of this department is to intervene quickly in all cases of physical violence on any kind, so the network specialist doctor and, of course, family doctors. A special role in the fight against domestic violence belongs to NGO. In this respect, our organization, Save the Children, has carried out such a training program in partnership with social institutions, bringing both to training specialists from health, educational, and social system. In 2013, Save the Children conducted an extensive study in collaboration with Ministry of Health and National Authority for Children's Rights in the field of domestic violence, called Abuse and Neglect, which drew attention of the increasing this phenomenon and way to combating and prevention with press and media involvement. And of course, we have a project, his name Be Supported, Not Violent, Positive Parenting for Happy Children, who developed in partnership with the University of Valencia, Poli and Bienestar. At the end, I want to finish with a paragraph from UN Convention of the Children's Rights, who stipulates the fundamental right of the child. I talk about the right to be protected from any kind of violence, and I think this is the more reason because we are here. It's very important for our, like specialists, to work together and to develop the best practice and to change experience, of course, in the benefit of the children. Thank you very much.
Bueno, y por último, participa la compañera Kerli Valner, que pertenece a la Unión de Estonia por el Bienestar de la Infancia.
Hello, my name is Kerli Valner, and I'm here with my colleague Helen Sarnik from Estonian Union for Child Welfare, and we introduce you briefly about the Estonian context regarding corporal punishment. But first, a few facts about Estonia. Here you can see Estonian flag and the location in Europe. Official name of Estonia is the Republic of Estonia. The population is 1.3 million people, and 18% from entire population are children. Official language is Estonian, capital city is Tallinn. We have 79 local municipalities. Estonian citizens are provided with universal healthcare, free education, and the longest paid maternity leave, which is approximately 19 months. So, but now about corporal punishment. The corporal punishment of children was banned in Estonia in 2016, and according to the latest research, almost 2/3 of adults know about it, but then again 1/3 of adults didn't know about it. And also this question was asked from children, and almost half of children knew about it. And so we can see that there is a room for awareness raising activities. So what do parents do when their child does not listen or behave as desired? Adults had to answer the questions, what have they done in past year? And here are the results. The most frequent method of child discipline is encouraging the child to behave right. 98% of Estonian parents have used this during the year preceding to the survey. Explaining why the child's behavior is not right, but also forbidding the child and reminding the rules were also widely used. Although corporal punishment is prohibited by law and is also one of the least common methods of discipline, almost 1/5 of parents use it when the child does not abide with or behave right. In fact, during the year preceding to the survey, 18% of parents have pulled their child by hair and 14% have slapped their child. 1/3 of parents have threatened their child with slapping. So now about attitudes. A total of 42% of adults considered hitting, hair pulling, and other physical forms of discipline justified in certain situations. 64% admitted that corporal punishment constitutes violence. And then again, parents who had themselves been subject to the corporal punishment as children considered physical violence an acceptable parenting method significantly more often. And 2/3 of children considered corporal punishment to be violence. Just over a quarter of children considered it to be understandable and necessary in some cases. Children who had been punished during the past year agreed with this claim significantly more often. The situations where people are most willing to intervene are when a teacher or other adult attending children uses corporal punishment on a child. 97% of adults who have seen this have intervened, and when seeing a crying child in a public place, then almost 90% of adults have intervened. Situations where a parent punishes a child corporally or verbally humiliates a child are the ones where other adults see the least necessity to intervene. In some cases, it was explained that they don't know what to do, or they think it's their family business. Majority of Estonian parents rejoice over their children and are satisfied with their family life. However, a considerable share of parents feel the need for more time for themselves. 43% are stressed or depressed. Almost 1/3 of parents need help and support, and 16% feel that they cannot cope with parenting. About half of Estonian parents, most often young mothers, have felt that they need help and support in raising their child. but either have not known where to get advice or help or have not dared to ask for it. The most advice and help is needed on topics such as internet safety, solving conflicts, and calming a child. And now Helen will talk more about the supporting system.
Hi, as Kerli introduced me, I am Helen, also from Estonian Union for Child Welfare, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Estonian support system. So Estonia joined with CRC in 1991. It is a year after we got independent, and since then, Estonian child and family policy has improved a lot. One of the latest improvements was banning corporal punishment. The Child Protection Act prohibited all kind of child abuse before as well, but as we heard from the presentations before, it wasn't clear enough for parents. The Child Protection Act also obligates all citizens to report to the authorities when they get to know about a child who is in danger or in need of help. So not only the specialist working with or for children has to report, but all kinds of citizens if they see. Cases of children in need of help are to be notified to the child protection officer at the local government, and children who are in danger, where immediate action is required, should be reported to the police. Mandatory reporting have been instrumental for bringing more cases to the attention of the state agencies and service providers. Anyhow, the statistics from 2017 show that approximately 40 of the notifications are made by officials working with or for children. But also neighbors and other citizens are reporting. In addition, the implementation of the Child Protection Act is supported by the development of policies, new operational methods, and guidance to ensure children's safety in education, in alternative care, and in the juvenile justice sector. The strategy and the development plans that are made in order to help and protect children's welfare are Violence Prevention Strategy, Children and Families Development Plan, and Welfare Development Plan. There are various bodies involved in order to help children in need of help. The implementation of the legal prohibition of corporal punishment in Estonia is integrated into a national child protection system and guided by the collaborative commitment of national ministries, national institutions, independent bodies such as Ombudsman of Children, local governments, and the active civil society. The Ministry of Social Affairs is responsible for policy making and preparing new drafts for possible changes of law. In Estonia, the child protector in the local government is the case manager in any case regarding children and their well-being. This also includes cases where there is corporal punishment within the family. That means that who will be involved in the case will be decided after the evaluation of the case manager. Depending on the severeness of the case, the child protector can, for example, involve police, doctors, teachers, victim support service, or any other specialist. The work done by the child protector can and will be checked by the supervision unit in Estonian Social Insurance Board that was made in 2016 with the changes of law. The Child Protection Department in Estonian Social Insurance Board is working actively to strengthen the quality of social services provided by the local governments. And also, very important role belongs to NGOs, such as me and Kerli belong to in Estonian Union for Child Welfare. And the first public campaign was launched by our organization in 1997 already and got a lot of attention, including the media. It involved information material for parents on alternatives to corporal punishment, and poster campaigns followed in 2001 and 2004. Since then, our organization have been actively campaigning on that issue. Thank you.
Bueno, ahora es el momento de preguntas, aunque vamos un poquitito de mal de tiempo. O sea, no sé si pasamos a la siguiente mesa. Vale, pues nada, muchas gracias y pasamos a la siguiente mesa, que va a abordar la presentación del resultado de No Punish, ¿vale? Como una herramienta multidimensional validada para facilitar la transferencia de buenas prácticas en la Unión Europea para la eliminación del castigo físico. Venga, muchas gracias. Ok, sorry.
It works? Yeah, okay. I just wanted to, it's not really a question, it's just further information to your speech, Mr. Félix. Yeah, because you mentioned France, and I know it's very new because this week France is going to vote the law. So it was just to bring this new information. I've got the text because they sent me the text, and it will be voted on Thursday. So this mention should change in the future, in the very next future, we hope.
Gracias, muchas gracias por la aclaración. Lo he escuchado, no estaba yo al corriente, pero lo he escuchado antes.
In English, please, because I can't understand. Sorry.
Thank you for the information. I didn't know, but I have heard to Anna before.
Yeah. Yeah, because I told her also, okay. And so it's very new.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But the French government is supporting it, so this time it should pass on. So, people.
Hola. Hola. Quería hacer una pregunta relacionada con la negligencia. Es que ha habido dos experiencias que habéis mencionado, la negligencia, Holanda y Rumanía. Entonces quería preguntarlos realmente en qué caso se consideraba la negligencia.
What case is considered negligent?
Sorry?
Negligent.
Yes.
What case you consider negligent in your country?
Case?
What case? Where would you define? Definition of the negligence.
No, it's for
Yes, Romania and
for both.
Understand the question. Okay.
In what case do you understand
What is
negligent care?
What is neglect?
What is needed?
yes,
What you
Negligent.
in your country.
Negligent care.
When
In-
I'm sorry, I don't know if I understand your question correctly, but I'll try to answer it. So please tell me if it's not.
Okay. I think you ask what we understand about neglect. Yes. Especially for the children who provide from the family very poor, who don't have to eat, who are neglected from, who don't respect the right to education, who don't go to school, who don't have the opportunity to go to the doctors, and the child who grow up without respecting the right of the children. And there are many these kind of cases, especially in the rural area, where we have many poor family where the level of education is low. They don't work and they don't are interested to go to go to children to school. And this is the big problem in Romania, these cases. More than physical violence, of course, neglecting also is accompanied by the emotional neglecting. But there are many few these kind of cases in our countries.
And in Holland, we also have that kind of neglect, but also a lot of emotional neglect. For example, even with rich parents who are only working and have no attention for their children at all, and don't support their children in what they want or what their needs are. It's also neglect. And we have to deal with a lot of divorces that are turning into fights between the parents, where the children get stuck between the parents. We also think that's a form of child abuse.
Thank you.